Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about my favorite feature in Kotlin. It's null safety. To understand why it's a big deal, we're gonna look at how it works in Java, what a null pointer exception is, what types Kotlin has, nullable and not nullable, how compiler of Kotlin handles special cases for equals, hashCode and toString methods on a null object, what safe call operator is, how to use Elvis Operator, and my least favorite one, it's Not-null Assertion. So let's get started. Firstly, let's look at a small example which I created for Java. It's a name with a null value, and I'm trying to call length method on it. Let's run and see what happens. Yeah, we got null pointer exception, as you can see in the console. Why? Because null means we don't have a value actually for the name variable. That's why length can be properly executed. But we got it only in runtime when we ran it. We as developers want to get this exception as early as possible. So ideally during compilation phase, not at runtime. That's why even the author of Java called this 1 billion mistake. So let's see what Kotlin can offer. Now let's try to do the same in Kotlin. I also introduce the name variable, also type a string. I'm trying to assign null to it, and not this one. And let's print it, name. Let's try to run it, and you can see the compiler tells us that null cannot be value of a non-null type Kotlin string. Now you can understand the difference between Kotlin and Java. In Kotlin we couldn't even run the program, and in Java we got null pointer exception only at runtime, and it's huge difference and huge advantage Kotlin over Java. Let's imagine we allow the name to have a null value. So in this case we put a question mark here, and let's try to run it. Yeah, now at least it runs and we have output. By the way, null, it's a default string representation of null value. Our next point from Magenta, oh, by the way, I did a mistake. 4, 5, 6. It's special cases related to equals, hashcode and toString on a null object. The default behavior of toString method you've just seen. Just let's make it more obvious. So it's the same. Compiler added for us. So now let's try to use hashcode, and what will happen? 0. It's also a default implementation of hashcode for null, and we can make it more interesting like this, and you can see it still compiles. For me it was quite a surprise. But it's what a compiler does for us. So let's return the code. And now let's see what default implementation of equals does. We need to create a boolean variable. Now equals, for example, name. And here we need to put this variable. So now it's true because the name also nullable. That's why both of them are null. Let's change it. Now it should be false. Yeah. It's also a default implementation for a null value. So null is always not equal any other value except null, of course. Our next topic, it's a safe call operator. Let's return some code. Now I want to print a length on the name. Let's try it. As you can understand, it won't work because the name now is nullable. Yeah, but the compiler tells us that we can use safe call operator. So how it works? We call a length property on a nullable variable using this operator. And now it works because safe call operator question mark and point returns always null in this case when the variable itself is null. From my experience, people usually use this operator with methods, not with values, something like that. If, for example, you have a class user and a variable user, and this class has a let's say a method print name, and user in this case, if it's null, you can use safe call operator. In this case, print name just won't be called. And don't forget that you always have if-else statements. So you always can check if name equals null, do something else, do another thing. And so, for example, let's call some string. We don't have a name, and here we just print the name. We don't have name, and now we change it to Alex. Yeah, now Alex is printed. Also, you can see that the length of my name is 4 here. It also shows how safe operator works when the value is not null. So now we have a real name, it's not null, so let's print the length. And let's talk about Elvis Operator. You can see how it looks. let's remove this. We don't need it. Now, let's imagine we want to print the length of the name if it's not null, and if it's null, we print just 0. So with Elvis operator should be like this. Yeah, now you can see 4. Now when we change Alex to null, run it again, 0. And I think you noticed that actually we used Elvis operator at the same time save call operator. So we can chain it and it's perfectly. So now move on to my least favorite feature. It's called Not-null Assertion. And I think we need to avoid it at any cost. For example, what we can do. Actually, I call this operator I swear. So I swear it's not null. And now we can even compile it, but we will get null pointer exception at runtime. So now we don't have a Kotlin Null Safety at compile time. So I think it's a really bad idea to use this operator. Just don't use it, guys and girls. Hopefully you got the idea what Kotlin Null Safety is. So smash the like button, leave the comments, I will answer them, and see you in the next videos. Bye bye.